Hey guys, what is up? It is Rapmark here doing my slightly delayed review for Venom Let There Be Carnage. Uh, just getting it done as soon as I can. A lot of stuff came up in the past couple of days, so it got put off a couple of days, but here we are. So, this is the second Venom film. Now that Venom has been acquired by MCU at last. And what did I think of this film? I thought it was better than the first one, and I did like the first one. I did think there were some things that held it back, though, as well. I believe the first one I gave a 7. Uh, so, yeah. What did I like about this? I did love the humor. They it was hugely based on, especially for like the first act and probably a large part of the second act. Um, it was I like the whole roommates thing. It like almost like just a dysfunctional couple. It's it's funny. It does have a light-hearted feel. Like the stakes aren't as big, at least at first, and then it starts to blow up. But it's kind of crazy. Uh, let's see what else I loved. Absolutely love Tom Hardy. Like his acting is great. I thought he did a good job as Venom. Just listening to him play those roles, it's just he's super fun to watch. Super like wonderful on screen. And I'm just glad that he's invested in this role because from what I've read, he's gonna show up in a third film and he's very invested in the Venom movies as a whole. So that should be very exciting. I am excited to see more of him in these films. The CGI, I believe the CGI was miles better than the first one, where it was just like it was hard to see what was going on. It looked like two trash bags in the wind. I've heard his comparison as. Um, yeah, this one you could see the fights better. You could see the symbiotes better. I mean, it's a CGI fest, but I mean, you kind of have to do it. Like again, with movies like this, you kind of have to rely on CGI. But I think they did way better. But yeah, in this movie, so I have to take back what I said at first. I thought in parts it did better than the first movie, but in parts it kind of stayed the same and even was held back by certain parts. So I want that to be set up very first because I believe I gave it the first one a 7. If I gave it an 8, then I was being very generous. It was not that good, but it was still a fun, enjoyable watch. But anyway, so yeah, visual effects were much better. And I mean, you can just tell like it seemed higher quality, just the shots, especially in the action scenes. It seemed much more prepared, much more organized, much more clean. It just seemed smoother overall, like in terms of editing. Like, yeah, I remember the first one, there were cuts all over and probably continuity errors, but you couldn't tell because it looked sloppy. And I mean, I'm glad that the symbiotes don't look as shiny. Um, they look much more natural, and it's again, this was a fun watch. I did enjoy it, but I do think there was a lot that held it back. Let's get into that. Um, I think the humor was very overplayed. It was very overplayed, like to the point of like repeating jokes. Um, there were some parts that were just like, what, why was this even a part of it? Uh, and that goes into another thing I'm going to go into in just a minute here, the writing. Uh, so yeah, and it didn't have the action I think it needed. And here's the problem I think in terms of Carnage. So it's based on Maximum Carnage, the comic, um, and so Carnage, he is just completely all about Carnage. He doesn't give a crap about anyone. Uh, he's just all about to destroy and create chaos. And in this one, and I mean, you have symbiotes eating people and stuff like that, and just killing people. But I mean, as much as I realize the setbacks of an R rating for a movie, in order to portray and do Carnage justice, I think it needed to be rated R. I don't think PG-13 did Carnage any justice. I mean, you're seeing enemies killed off screen, being eaten off screen. You're not seeing much blood or anything. It's a little wonky. It's I wanted to see more, especially with like a symbiote. But I mean, I understand why they do PG-13, but there are certain characters, Deadpool is one of them that I don't think can be done justice with a PG-13, and I'm sorry, but I don't think it did Carnage the justice he deserved in this movie, which is unfortunate because I do like Carnage and I do like Venom and I like the whole them fighting. What else? I thought the pacing was just way, way too fast. Uh, so, and again, that's going to go into again what I'm going to go into the writing. But everything just seems so rushed. I mean, you're talking. I think Maximum Carnage was like a 14 part, a 17 part thing. Uh, there was just so much covered, and everything just seemed like whiffed by. Like suddenly something's going on, and then you whiff to something going on, and you're just like, how did we get here? Everything was just super quick, and a couple of subplots like really suffered because of it. They felt unnecessary. Uh, it just seemed like it was too much, too little, or too much to show in too little time. It's I really I think this should have been either broken up or done as like a series or a trilogy, like with Venom and Carnage. But I don't know. They did what they did, and that's kind of what we're stuck with at this point, since this is now canon. Hopefully, they don't rush into things like they did on this one. So once again, the big problem with this film, the writing, and this was a problem that the last film had too. The writing was not good. I mean, there were parts where it hit. The humor was very good. I think putting Andy Serkis was a great idea, but the writing, they still need to get writings. Oh man, like again, the pacing was rushed. There was too much humor. There were some jokes that didn't land. There were some jokes that were repetitive, which was unfortunate because overall I did enjoy this film, but it's just like I wanted to see more action. And again, they couldn't have all the action they wanted because of the PG-13 label rating. uh, and again, I'm gonna dive into again. I get that rated R does have negative connotations. It does attract less viewership, but I don't think Carnage can be done justice on a PG-13. Ugh. Yeah, the story beats were a little bit like I love Woody Harrelson, and in as much as I think they toned down Carnage's character due to the rating, like I don't think he was given very good lines. I think he did great for what he was given. Um, but yeah, I again the writing wasn't great. I think Woody Harrelson could actually carry bad writing, or not Woody Harrelson, but Tom Hardy. I think he could carry it. I think they did a good job for Venom, except for the overabundance of humor. Um, but again, I think it was just too much. It was just too much, and ultimately, I think this film suffers from bad writing, and they need to get some better writers in on this because, from what I was hoping from this film, I did not enjoy it as much as I wanted to. And now that I think about it, there were probably parts of it that held it back more than I thought it would at initial, even when I started this. Um, so what would I give this film overall? I'm giving this one a 6. And it hurts. It pains me to do that. I did enjoy this film. There were a lot of things I liked about this film, which I covered at the beginning. But there were so many things that held it back that I can't. You know, yeah, the CGI looked great. Yeah, I love Tom Hardy, and I love the humor, but the humor was overdone. The writing was bad. The pacing was all over the place. So yeah, I gotta give this a 6 of 10. 6 of 10, and yeah, it's still an enjoyable movie. I mean, I can't say I would. This is probably the worst Marvel film I've ever seen, um, and it's unfortunate because I didn't want it to be. I'd hoped it would be better, but they need to get some. I think a vast majority of problems could be solved if they actually got someone decent to write this story, because the writing in this was just not great. So anyway, that is my review for this. Honestly, it felt more like I mean, why didn't they? I mean, if it was rated R, I would say yeah, just have it be named Maximum Carnage, because why not? That's the whole point. But yeah, Let There Be Carnage. Honestly, the Carnage just felt almost like he was a character, but it just I don't think they did him justice. I mean, it might as have well been Venom, Welcome to the Marvel Universe, essentially, which is what we get to in spoilers, which I will cover to later. So that's it for the review section. So I will catch you all a little bit later, and we'll get into some reviews with you. So, see ya. Hey, what is up, guys? It is Rapmark here with some spoilers, some epic spoilers. So, uh, in this one we get a Brock who is what is his name? Is it Brody Brock? Eddie Brock. There we go. All right. So Eddie Brock, he's down on his luck. You know, he's kind of down. Um, And then suddenly, Cletus Cassidy, the famous outlaw, serial killer, who invites him to tell him his story, essentially. They're just like, all right. And so, he gives them this message to send out to the world. Well, first of all, you go, hold on, was that first of all? Yes, it was first of all. Um, you see a young Cletus, as his love, Frances Barrison, is taken away because of her from Saint Estes' home. So I'm wondering if they're playing the mutant aspect or whatever. But so Shriek, is it Shriek or Scream? Hold on one second. Definitely have to tell this. Shriek. There we go. So that so they're in love. So Shriek, I don't think they did justice either. I think that was again with the bad writing. They essentially reduced Shriek to a plot device that serves as Cassidy's weakness, essentially. And she only shrieks. Like, I remember in the comics, she had like psychic abilities as well. Um, I need to actually look deeper into it to actually go into it here. But yeah, I do believe she had psychic abilities. And none of that was shown. It just showed as someone who can scream. It's just like how, yeah, yeah, they did not do her justice at all. I believe in this one. Again, it's one of the plot points, or yeah, the plot points, which is just like a character which should have been a character, a decent character, even a side character, um, but she was reduced essentially to just a plot device, which is very sad. So yeah, so she tries to escape when she's on her way to be taken somewhere. She attacks a young Patrick Mulligan, again another character, which you'll see later, and she's taken somewhere where her powers can't do anything to anyone. So Mulligan, he's wanting to talk to Eddie. So Eddie's again down on his luck. He wants to, and Cassidy wants to tell a story. Mulligan is trying to find out where all these bodies are because he's killed so many people before he's put to death by lethal injection. But there's an injunction on his death sentence while they try to get this information out of him. Now Venom finds out through the drawings on the wall where these bodies are. Uh, and so his career boosts up. So it gives him a massive career. The injunction is lifted, so Cassidy is going to be put to death. At some point, the last time Brock and Cassidy meet, like Venom sort of lashes out, and Cassidy bites Brock, and there's a little spawn on his lip that he picked with thumb, and he eats it. And so that is the start of our Carnage. So as he's being put to death, Carnage sort of takes over and stops the poison from going into his body. And then pushes out, and then he transforms. And at this point, he is just attacking everything. Like, and it kind of blows my mind. Like, this is an entire prison block of guards. There's only one alarm apparently. He does his world maneuver where he just slices up a bunch of people, but you don't see any of that because of the rated PG warning. And then he eats the warden, which again you see him open his mouth to take a bite, but you don't actually see, the act. That's done off screen or done behind the back, whatever. And yeah, it was kind of weak, but I did like the callback they did. He does have the escape. He's glad. He's seeing as he's walking out of there, and then he catches this glorious. Oh, what is the freaking car? Oh, please tell me it has it here somewhere quickly. It doesn't, sadly. But yeah, it's a beautiful red car. I forget what it's called, and that's gonna haunt me forever. But it is what it is. All right. So while all this is going on, Eddie is contacted by his ex-fiancee Annie. So he is now engaged to Dan. I guess Dan is a thing now. Like he's just like he does help out, and it's I don't know. It's Dan. I'm kind of meh on the Dan to be honest, but I mean I get it. Um, but yeah, she tells Rock that he's engaged, that she's engaged to him. He's insanely depressed, and that Anne was another one where I felt that the subplot was it just felt unnecessary. Like she felt more of a character than Shriek did, but it's like again but she is reduced again by the end to a plot device to lure Venom out and Brock to actually, do the right thing because he's kind of just like, I just want to live a normal life. Like he's living in this apartment. There's chickens. Like Brock in Venom, in order to survive, has to exist on a chemical, and this is a true thing that exists only in chocolate and I don't know if it's human brains or or just any brains, but yeah. Uh, but yeah, Rock just wants to live his normal life, and they get into a fight after a few months after that happens, and Venom ends up just leaving his body and just going off on his own. But of course, as you know, it requires a pairing. And all the people he's attaching onto are not very good pairs. So all these people are essentially dying that he's taking over. And oh my gosh, the freaking club scene. It's like I don't know if it's fetish night or whatever, but it's some sort of like costume thing. But yeah, it's it's kind of cringy in parts, but it is kind of fun him going up on stage, just like be who you are, just accept yourself, and it's it's kind of funny, but kind of cringy at the same time. So after that, while that's going on, yeah, Venom wants to eat people. So again, they fight. So Cassidy is on his way, and he works out a deal with Carnage. So he helps. So Carnage helps Cassidy free Francis, uh, the love of his life, and in return, he will inflict carnage. He will destroy everything. So again, Mulligan again is another one. It's just like the problem with this movie again is that everything moves so quickly that side characters feel reduced to plot devices, which is really sad because some of these characters would have been really great to flush out in more detail, like Annie or Francis or even Mulligan. So because of the interactions that he's had, he's suspicious. He's like trying to get him to answer questions, which he refuses until he gets his lawyer. And who is that? That is Annie, who again is a plot device to get Carnage back. So Carnage is his last host is on his last legs. I don't know if he's going to die or if he got out of him quickly enough for him not to die. But yeah, he goes into Mrs. Chen. Mrs. Chen has chocolate. But so that comes into play earlier in the movie. She's out of chocolate, and that's where the fight actually between Brock and Venom actually takes place. But anyway, so Mrs. Chen, she thinks this person's just a druggie, whatever, and is vomiting, and then she realizes it's Venom. So he goes into Mrs. Chen temporarily, while Brock obviously gets Annie to go get Venom. She brings Dan, and he's just like, I thought there were going to be no more symbiotes. And she's just like, no, I said no more than before. And then, of course, that was also a lie. Oh my gosh, Dan, I don't know what to think of. I don't hate him, but I'm kind of meh about him. I don't know. If he becomes a thing, I could see myself being very sick of him. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with good old Dan. But yes, so there's that. Cassidy and Francis want to get married, so they bring the three people. Francis wants to bring Mulligan, who is the cop that shot her. Cassidy wants to bring Brock, obviously, and Carnage, obviously, is going to bring Venom. So, two furs in more ways than one. So, Francis kidnaps Annie. And brings her to the church. And then, of course, Cassidy and Carnage are already there. And with Annie taken, Brock has no. Yeah, he has to go. He has to go. So yes, him and Venom are brought. And then, how is Mulligan taken? I've actually kind of forgotten that one. That's a problem of actually doing these a couple days from when I actually see it. Okay, yeah. Cassidy takes him. So, well, Cassidy Carnage. He unloads an entire clip, and nothing happens. So, yes, he gets taken. So, Carnage. So Venom and Carnage fight. The fight looks much better than the. What was the other one? It was. It was. I forget what the first symbiote was that was the enemy, but yeah, because it's not Riot. Riot is going to be in a sequel, I believe. Or was it Riot? But yeah, I like how, like, and this was one of the funny ones. It's just like, oh shit, that's a red one. And he disappears, and it's just Eddie Brock. But yeah, like the thing with so he's just like, I will let you eat everybody, all the bad guys. And so he's just like, all right, I'll try it again. And of course, with Annie, he has to come out. And yeah, so they fight. Venom holds his own, but is eventually overpowered by him. So later it comes into the, like earlier you see Francis scream, and Carnage is not thrilled about this. If you know anything about symbiotes, they don't like high pitched, loud noises or flames. So, yes, there's that. So, he's not a fan of her constant talking, but because of Cassidy, he kind of leaves her alone, but he informs that he could kill her at any time. So at this point, Mulligan's trying to escape. He gets, I guess, pushed, and something impales him. It sounds like you don't see anything. Again, PG-13, but it sounds like he's impaled. So you think he's dead. Carnage goes and attacks Francis, who again did the scream thing, and she's knocked out. And eventually, like, Venom and Brock are just like, we're a bonded pair. And it's just like, they haven't fully bonded, which is a deviation from the comics. Because if you remember the comics, Carnage and Cassidy are the most bonded pair that has ever been. And that's why Carnage is so damn strong. Like, there's never been a human symbiote pair as strong as those two. So that was a deviation. Again, they tried to make Cassidy a much more, like, I guess, human, likable character. Like, he was abused, whatnot. It's just like, come on. Like, he's not a good guy. He's a freaking serial killer. Like, there are some characters within the Marvel universe where they'll change to make them a little more human, and it's just like, I don't mind that. Like, from Shang-Chi, I did not mind them changing the Mandarin from that. But Cassidy is not one of those people that you can humanize. Like, it just doesn't work with the character. It's like, I just wanted a friend. Like, no, no. This is Bad News Bears. This is not how this character is supposed to work. So I don't think it worked with it. I don't know. Maybe if they had better writing, it would have. But just with the writing that they had, it did not work with Cassidy's character to try to make him more sympathetic to me. All right. But anyway, Dan comes in. He helps out. He sets Carnage on fire while they sort of figure their stuff out. And then Carnage decides that he's going to kill Annie on top of the cathedral, even though he could kill her at any place else. Why? Plot, I guess. So Venom saves Annie, and they're just like, we need fire or sound. So Francis gets up. She is about ready to scream, and then Venom just bats her into the bell, knocks the bell loose, and she screams, does one last scream, and it creates a sound so loud that it separates Carnage from Cassidy as the cathedral collapses. The bell falls on Barrison and she dies, you know. And then Venom saves Brock. He bonds with him barely before impact. Lucky him. Carnage tries to bond with Cassidy again, but Venom ends up devouring him, killing it. And Cassidy he's messed up. He fell down. And then Venom bites Cassidy's head off. So Brock, Venom, Annie, and Lewis, good old Dan, they're still alive. And a still living Mulligan's eyes flash blue. What does that mean? I don't know. I have no idea. And I'm sure there are some lore nerds out there that could probably tell you. But I mean, I know quite a bit of comic nerds, and they're just like, I have no idea what they're trying to do on this one. But yeah, so Mulligan has to escape, and he leaves. It's just like, okay, that whole thing was a worthless plot device, essentially. Yeah, they did not do Annie justice. They did not do Shriek justice, and it was very sad. So they ponder their next steps while they go on a tropical vacation. And that's when we go into the credits and then the post-credit scene. There's only one, a mid-credit scene. There's no end-credit scene, sadly. But it does make me excited, and it brings full circle. Venom is now in the Marvel Universe, and the multiverse is a thing. So Venom is telling Brock about the symbiote's knowledge of other universes, and he offers to share a little pimps of what he has seen. But while he's doing that, there's a blinding light that transports them from a hotel room, a shitty hotel room where they're in, to something nice, where Spider-Man's identity is revealed. So I'm guessing this is after the incident from Far From Home, where his identity is revealed by Mysterio. There we go. So there you go. Venom is now part of the Marvel Universe. There it is again. I think bad writing was the sin that cursed this movie as much as it did. And I gave you a bunch of reasons why. There were some plot holes and craziness that happened, but again, 6 out of 10. I did enjoy this movie. I still think if you love Marvel and you loved the first one, you'll like this one. If you didn't like it, you're not going to like this one. But it hit all the right spots, but the writing just kind of took it down a peg. So I hope they can get the writing situation cleared up now that it is a part of Marvel. But yeah, I think that is it for this review. So I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on it, even if you don't agree with that. But I hope you have a good day, and I will see you guys on the next time. See ya.